The teasers dropped, the fandom went silent. In an instant, the entire K-drama world was turned upside down. I mean, I want you to picture someone you see every day, right? Like a guy at your office who just constantly gets pushed around by middlemen.
Oh, yeah, just totally blending into the background.
Exactly. A guy who humbly apologizes when his own teenage daughter is unjustly bullied at school just to avoid making a scene. Someone who still uses an antiquated flip phone, specifically to stay off the grid and avoid attention.
Right, a total nobody.
But now I want you to imagine that exact same mild-mannered man walking into a deserted alley, retrieving a hidden 007 briefcase, and instantly dismantling a violent criminal syndicate with, lethal Black Ops precision.
Talk about completely insane duality, right?
It is the ultimate pivot. Welcome to Starscope K-Report. Join Eric and Minji as we ride the Hallyu wave, uncovering the biggest K-pop comebacks, shocking industry controversies, and major K-drama updates. From internet-breaking rumors to historic chart milestones, we dive deep into the world of Korean entertainment.
And today, we have a massive deep dive for you. We are talking about the explosive new SBS and Netflix K-drama that has basically achieved an all-kill on the timeline, Agent Kim Reactivated.
It really did. It premiered on June 26, 2026, and the numbers are just staggering.
Unbelievable numbers, yeah.
Right, so we've got a huge stack of sources today. We are pulling from official viewership ratings from Nielsen Korea, critical reviews from Midgard Times and Screen Rant, Naver Webtoon statistics, and some really fascinating industry production reports.
Which, trust me, you're going to want to hear about those production reports later. It is wild.
Absolutely. Our mission today is to unpack exactly why this show just scored the highest miniseries premiere of 2026. We'll explore its massive comic book origins and reveal the groundbreaking and, frankly, potentially controversial technology used to bring this world to the screen.
So let's just jump right into the sheer impact of this premiere, because the K-Nets are losing their minds right now. Agent Kim Reactivated actually replaced My Royal Nemesis in the highly coveted Friday-Saturday SBS primetime slot.
Which was a huge global hit, right?
Oh, a massive global rom-com hit. So if you follow television programming, you know that going from a bubbly, sweet rom-com straight into a gritty, blood-soaked revenge thriller is a massive tonal whiplash for a network's audience.
Yeah, you're basically asking an audience that tuned in for cute meet-cutes to stick around for martial arts and espionage.
Exactly. And the director, Lee Sung-young, he actually addressed this directly during the press tour. He used this great culinary metaphor, joking that if the previous rom-com was a sweet cake, this new thriller is a much spicier and more intense flavor.
And that spicy flavor definitely worked. I mean, episode 1 dominated with a 9.5% average nationwide rating.
Which is just huge for a premiere.
It really is. To put that in perspective for you, it completely eclipsed its competitors. NBC's 50s Professionals only hit a personal best of 6.0%, and that show is approaching its finale.
Right, which is usually when ratings peak anyway. But the setup for Agent Kim is just so tense. You have Kim Do-hyeon, played by the absolute visual king, Seo Ji-sub.
A legendary actor comeback right there.
Totally. And he is playing this ordinary savings bank employee, right? A devoted single dad to his high school daughter, Minji. But he is harboring this super dark past as a former elite covert operative who operated in the shadows between North and South Korea.
And then the inciting incident hits. A mysterious syndicate kidnaps Minji after a school rivalry escalates, and Kim just drops his civilian act entirely.
He completely snaps.
Yeah.
You spend like the first 2/3 of the premiere watching him just take all these everyday indignities. He lets his coworkers abuse his trust. He tolerates public harassment.
Yeah, and I actually want to pause on that because the psychology of the character gets really interesting here. I don't think Manager Kim's passive lifestyle is just a strategy for, laying low. I see it as this extreme, aggressive overcompensation.
Oh, that's an interesting way to look at it.
Right. Because he is like a tightly coiled spring. He's deliberately absorbing all the ambient aggression around him without bouncing any of it back. The flip phone, the constant apologizing. It's basically a superhero's disguise, but it's meant to protect the world from him, not the other way around.
I love that.
Yeah.
I totally see where you're going with the disguise angle.
Yeah.
But looking at the source material, I think it's rooted in genuine trauma. He isn't just suppressing his skills. He's actively terrified of the person he used to be. The civilian world is his fragile attempt at rehabilitation. But the moment his daughter is taken, that rehabilitation shatters.
Which is incredibly fun to watch.
Oh, it's the best. And that transition from the meek father to the lethal operative is exactly what caught the attention of Western media. But, and this is a big but, that is not even the wildest part of this comeback. Later in the episode, we'll talk about the shocking plot twist regarding its production that nobody saw coming.
Right. But first, let's look at how every single article right now, from the Korea Herald to Screen Rant, is calling this the Korean Taken, like Liam Neeson's Taken.
Which, I mean, I get it. The parallels are impossible to ignore.
Mhm.
A dad with a very specific set of skills tearing through a criminal underworld. Director Lee even brought this up himself at the press conference, confidently claiming his show actually surpasses Taken.
Surpasses it. Those are big words.
Very big words. But he clarified that while Taken is this real-time, 2-hour burst of adrenaline, Agent Kim Reactivated is a layered 10-episode series. You can't maintain a 2-hour panic attack for 10 hours of television.
Yeah, and I have to push back on that constant taking comparison anyway. I mean, does that comparison actually do the show a disservice?
I kind of think it does, yeah.
Because a 2-hour movie basically just requires a guy punching people in a leather jacket, but a 10-episode series, you need a much deeper narrative engine, expansive world building, and political intrigue to sustain a viewer's attention for that long.
Exactly. And that structural foundation actually comes from a very specific place. This series has zero narrative connection to the Liam Neeson franchise. It is actually a live-action adaptation of the smash hit Naver Webtoon called Manager Kim.
Wait, so it's based on a webtoon?
Yes, by Jeong Jong-taek and Toy. And this webtoon boasts 32.4 million views and nearly 500,000 subscribers.
Wow, 42 million views. That is a staggering amount of readership before a single frame of television is even shot.
It's huge. And it's driven by this specific business model called the OSMU strategy, which stands for One Source Multi-Use.
Can you break down how that actually works in practice? Because we hear these corporate acronyms all the time, but how does it translate to getting 42 million people to read a comic?
Think of OSMU as creating a self-sustaining economic ecosystem for intellectual property. The Manager Kim comic isn't just a standalone story. It's a spin-off set within the much larger PTJ universe.
The PTJ universe, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but native to mobile comic platforms.
Exactly like that. It connects to other mega-hit titles like Lookism, My Life is a Loser, and Viral Hit. From a business perspective, it's brilliant. A reader is engaged with Lookism, they see a crossover character, they click a link, and boom, they're funneled into a new series.
So by the time a television network greenlights the adaptation, the market research is already done.
Right. The lore is pre-established, which solves that exact problem you mentioned earlier about needing a deep narrative engine for a 10-episode run.
That makes perfect sense. By the way, if you love staying updated on your favorites and getting deep dives like this, make sure you're subscribed to Starscope K Report. We've got even bigger scoops ahead.
Yes, definitely hit subscribe, because we are about to get into the emotional core of this series, and it is intense. The actors bring this webtoon universe to life in such a visceral way.
Right. And that emotional engine is fueled primarily by Seo Ji-sub. His return to the action noir genre is significant. I was looking at a quote from him regarding his character's motivation, and it really stuck with me.
Oh, what did he say?
He noted that in most action dramas, characters step into a fight knowing they might die. It's often framed as a suicide mission, right? But Manager Kim's action is driven by a desperate, overriding determination to stay alive so he can reunite with his daughter.
Oh, that just gives me chills.
Yeah.
It fundamentally changes the texture of how a character fights.
Exactly. If you watch the fight scenes in something like John Wick, there's a certain suicidal exhaustion to it. But for Manager Kim, every block, every parry, every strike has this frantic, calculated preservation behind it.
He isn't throwing his life away, he is fiercely guarding it. And what makes the choreography even more dynamic is that he isn't fighting this war alone. The series introduces this fantastic concept of an alliance of deadly fathers.
I love this part. It's essentially a tactical squad of lethal adjusis, like middle-aged men who look like they should be at a parent-teacher conference, but are actually capable of tearing a city block apart.
The casting choices really elevate this concept, too. Kim teams up with Seong Han-soo, a Taekwondo gold medalist played by Choi Dae-hoon.
His kicks are literally insane in this show.
Insane. And then there's Park Jin-kel, a combat veteran known as a god of war, played by Yoon Kyung-ho.
Which brings a lot of visual variety to the action, right? You have the wide, sweeping kicks of Taekwondo, the heavy military strikes, and Kim's highly efficient close-quarters combat.
And they need all of those skills, because the antagonists they are up against represent a very different kind of power. The kidnapping stems from a fierce school conflict with Jo Hyri, the daughter of a ruthless construction chairman named Jo Kang-chan.
And Jo Kang-chan is played by Jo Sang-wook, who just exudes this cold corporate menace.
Oh, he is so good at being evil.
It sets up this very compelling class warfare dynamic. You know, you have the rich, powerful father who believes his wealth allows him to purchase reality, pitted against the seemingly poor, meek father who actually possesses the physical capacity to dismantle that world by force.
It's the ultimate fantasy of the powerless striking back against the powerful, which perfectly explains the Kinet's reaction to the episode 2 preview. We see manager Kim finally abandon his civilian clothes. He puts on a crisp black suit, black gloves, grabs that 007 briefcase, and confronts a gang in a deserted alley.
The precision of his movements, it is incredibly cathartic for the audience, which really makes you wonder, why is this specific trope, the lethal parent coming out of retirement, so universally satisfying for viewers?
I think it's just pure catharsis, honestly.
Yeah.
It taps into South Korea's decades-long dominance in revenge cinema. Screen Rant even referenced Old Boy in their review of this show.
Wow, Old Boy, that's a huge comparison.
Right. What Agent Kim Reactivated does is take that dark, distinctly Korean cinematic impulse for vengeance and ground it in pure paternal love.
It's a potent mix. But as fascinating as the on-screen action is, the way this show was actually put together off-screen is generating just as much, if not more, conversation. Let's contrast Manager Kim's old-school analog combat skills with the highly futuristic, cutting-edge technology the production team used behind the camera.
Oh, this is the part that is blowing everyone's minds right now. During a recent SBS showcase, the network dropped a massive behind-the-scenes bombshell. They revealed that Agent Kim Reactivated fully utilized artificial intelligence to generate its backgrounds and CGI details.
Wait, fully utilized AI, just to clarify for you listening, we aren't talking about using AI for like a little bit of touch-up work or fixing a lighting issue in post-production?
No, like baked into the entire foundational pipeline. According to the production reports, using AI cut their visual effects costs and increase the speed of post-production by a massive 60%.
60%. That is a staggering amount of efficiency for network television. I mean, how does that even work on a technical level? Because I think a lot of people hear AI in film and they just picture a computer magically spitting out a finished episode.
Right. It's important to understand the mechanics here. In a traditional pipeline, human CGI engineers craft visual effects, essentially pixel by pixel. If you need a digital extension of a city skyline, a 3D artist has to model the geometry, apply textures, set up digital lighting, and then render those frames on massive server farms.
It's a highly specialized, painstaking craft.
Exactly. But an AI-driven workflow operates differently. The production team can feed a rough base plate or a green screen shot into a trained model, and the AI can generate a photorealistic background that instantly matches the lighting and perspective of the scene, basically bypassing the entire 3D modeling phase.
That fundamentally changes the economics of producing a high-end thriller. But obviously, that kind of disruption doesn't happen without friction. If you look at Western media right now, there is high anxiety over the automation of visual effects, like the recent backlash over Stranger Things relying heavily on CGI.
That's a crucial point. We are seeing a real-time tension play out. Network executives see a 60% cost reduction, which frees up the budget to pay for A-list actors like Seo Ji-sub, who ultimately provide the emotional core of the show.
But on the other hand, traditional VFX artists are raising serious alarms about the automation of their craft, which is a very valid fear about job displacement. And just to be clear, we are not taking sides on the ethics of AI here. We're just impartially reporting on the content provided in these industry reports.
Absolutely. What's fascinating, though, is the cultural difference in adoption. While the Western market is very vocal about these anxieties, the Korean market seems to be integrating this technology much more openly and smoothly into primetime television. SBS was confident enough to publicly showcase the AI technology to investors and the press.
It really reminds me of the early days of digital filmmaking, or using green screens instead of building massive physical sets. Back then, cinematic purists hated green screens, but ultimately it just became another standard tool to build worlds faster.
The ratings certainly support that conclusion. When you pull in a 9.5% viewership, it suggests that the general audience is either unaware of the AI integration or they simply don't mind it, as long as the narrative remains compelling.
And the narrative is undeniably compelling. If you want to keep following how this tech evolves in the industry, hit that subscribe button so you never miss an update. When you step back and look at the entire picture, this show is a masterclass in modern television production.
It really is. They took a massive risk by replacing a guaranteed ratings winner with a dark, gritty thriller.
But by leveraging a beloved comic book IP, casting actors who understand the deep emotional stakes, and utilizing revolutionary production technology to stretch their budget, they pulled off the highest-rated premiere of the year.
It highlights how dynamic the industry is right now. You have to innovate on every single level just to capture the audience's attention.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up today's deep dive, Agent Kim Reactivated leaves you with a lot to process about how entertainment is made. But more importantly, it leaves you with a provocative thought about the real world around you.
Oh, definitely.
The next time you are out running errands or you see someone quietly sitting in the cubicle next to you, maybe scanning groceries at the store, or just staring at an old flip phone on the morning train, take a second to ask yourself what past lives, what hidden skills, or what deep, unshakable devotions are walking among us completely unnoticed.
It definitely makes you look at the ordinary world and the ordinary people in it just a little bit differently.
It really does. You've been listening to Starscope K-Report, where Eric and Minji bring you the stories shaping K-pop, K-dramas, and the global Hallyu wave. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.